Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, just before I even get into the main topic, I'm sure most of you heard, and I did certainly send it out on my X feed last night, President Donald Trump, never doubt the power of Kuhner country. Administration officials heard the show, heard the reaction. President Trump now came out yesterday and said that DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, his decision to order all traffic stops to be suspended, those vehicles that have illegal aliens inside the car, was overturned by the president. So it was one of the shortest policy changes in DHS history. President Trump went right on Truth Social, saying that traffic stops are one of the most effective common tools used by ICE agents in order to apprehend, detain, and eventually deport illegal aliens. He said he would never stab ICE agents in the back like this. Apparently, he said that Mullin made this decision behind his back. He went around the president, didn't consult with the president. And so that policy change yesterday has now been overturned by the president. And my point is just a very simple one, not to do a victory lap, although it's nice to win one once in a while. But when people listen, when you call in, when you put pressure, believe it or not, sometimes the powers that be listen. And President Trump heard. He heard our anger. He heard our betrayal. He heard our frustration. And let's put it this way. I wouldn't want to be Markwayne Mullin right now. So anyway, good news. And hopefully we get some more good news. Now, I know the reaction I'm going to get on the topic I'm about to discuss. Jeff. Aren't there other pieces of legislation that we could talk about that are more significant, more consequential, more important? I don't know. The Save America Act, Jeff, as an example. I hear you. We've talked about the Save America Act. You know how important I think it is. But what I want to do is I want to focus on a bill that is going to, by the way, impact every single one of us. We cannot escape this. It's going to impact you, your children, your grandchildren, your parents, everybody. There's nobody that's not going to be impacted. And what I find what to me stands out about this story is even when you have overwhelming bipartisan support, bipartisan. So how many times do Republicans and Democrats agree on anything? Well, here you have a bill, and I'm going to get to it in a second, which has overwhelming support, especially from Republicans, but frankly, even many Democrats, that President Trump has been aggressively pushing, touting, saying, I want this bill passed. It's important for the country. It's important for the legacy of the Republican Party. And give me this bill and I will sign it. And not only will he sign it, but he has been advocating for this bill since the beginning of his presidency. I don't mean the second term now. I mean all the way in 2017, his first term. So you're looking at something that's almost 10 years in the making. And now they have the votes. And yet will it still pass? In other words, can Congress do anything? Can we get anything done? Or is our politics now become so dysfunctional that it's almost borderline paralysis? So, what am I talking about? Jeff. What the hell are you talking about, Jeff? The House on Tuesday, the House of Representatives, passed what's called the Sunshine Protection Act. It passed, listen to this, 308 to 117. 308 to 117. In other words, with a big bipartisan majority. 22 Republicans opposed it, 95 Democrats opposed it. But the majority of Democrats supported it. The overwhelming majority of Republicans supported it. Now, many of you are going to say, Jeff, what the hell? What are you, protecting the sun? What the hell is the Sunshine Protection Act? The Sunshine Protection Act is something that the Kuhner man has been asking for, forget 10 years, 20 years. And it's popular with most Americans. Most Americans, according to polls, want it done, but it never gets done, which is it would finally eliminate the annual ritual of changing our clocks twice a year, in the spring and then in the fall, where we go to daylight saving time and then we go back to standard time and then we go to daylight saving time and then we go to standard time. And so this biannual ritual where, one part of the year, the clocks move forward 1 hour. The other part of the year, remember, set your clocks an hour later. I am so sick and tired. It's been 20 years. It's a pain in the neck. No, let me say it. It's a pain in the ass. I'm telling you, it's a pain in the ass. I hate it that I got to constantly change my clocks. It throws off my sleep schedule. It throws off my sleep rhythm. Is it this weekend, the next weekend? When are the clocks going to be changed? To me, it's one of the most annoying things that takes place every single year. And I don't frankly see the reason for it, or at least a compelling reason for it. And so now, what the Sunshine Act would do, the Sunshine Protection Act, is that it would make daylight saving time permanent. Permanent. Meaning we wouldn't have to keep changing the clocks twice every year. It would be the same time the whole year long. Now, before we even get into the meat of the discussion, let me just say this right off the bat. I'm not addicted to daylight saving time. It doesn't have to be daylight saving time. If people prefer standard time over daylight saving time, I'm frankly okay with it. I mean, I prefer daylight over standard time, and I'll give you my reasons. You can agree or disagree, obviously. But I just want one time. What I just want, I don't care. Pick A or pick B. Okay? Take door 1 or take door 2. I don't care. But I just want the same time every freaking year. That's it. I don't want to keep changing my clock twice a year. It's one of the most annoying things. I can't tell you how annoying it is. So, if you go with one or go with the other, I don't care. Just keep it the same time all year round. Now, because most people prefer daylight saving time, that's where Congress has, at least for now, is deciding to go. So, what this would do, with the exception of Hawaii and Arizona, Hawaii and most of Arizona are on standard time. So this bill would stipulate if you exempt yourselves to standard time, then it will not apply to you, to your state, after it is federally passed and signed and enacted by Congress and the president. And Hawaii and most of Arizona will still remain on standard time. However, most of the other states in the union would, unless they object and exempt themselves before it becomes law, would be part of permanent standard, daylight saving time. Okay, so they'd be part of permanent daylight saving time. But what does this mean in reality, Jeff? In reality, it means, to me, you're going to get more sunshine in the day. It'll extend the day. The sunset will be 1 hour later. For example, in the Northeast, it'll be between 8 and 9, as opposed to, let's say, between 7 and 8. In the morning, like now, you will probably see, if we go to daylight saving time, you will probably see the sun rise at about 6-ish. instead of 5. So what many people argue is it will extend the day, sunlight, in terms of people enjoying sunlight. It'll increase outdoor activity. You can mow the lawn when you come back from work, say at 6 or 6:30 or 7 o'clock. You can go to the park with your family. You can, go to Little League or watch your kids play baseball. In other words, many people feel it will lead to a much healthier lifestyle where people will get to spend more time outside in the sun because during the bulk of the day, they're inside working. Now, there is one big argument against daylight saving time in favor of either keeping the clocks, changed twice a year. President Trump is urging them to do it now, actually, and says he will sign it. It's an issue that is very dear to him, which it's called the Sunshine Protection Act. It would make daylight saving time permanent. So no longer we would be, twice a year. We'd have to constantly change the clocks 1 hour ahead and then 1 hour back. Those days, those years would finally be behind us. Hopefully, God willing. Now, the reason why many people are supporting this change, myself included, is number one, it ends the inconvenience, the hassle, frankly, the pain in the rear end of constantly having to change your clocks twice a year. This sort of biannual ritual, which throws off people's sleep schedule. I know it throws off mine, throws off people's rhythm. I can't tell you what a pain it is. I know it's just 1 hour, but believe me, it throws off the kids. It throws off Grace. It throws me off. I really would like to just have the same time for the entire year. I don't think I'm asking for too much. And it would give more sunshine later in the day. That especially between about 7 and 8, you would see a lot more sun, which, more outdoor activity. You can go to the park. You can do chores around the house. And it's just basically better for your health and better if you want to get vitamin D. Now, there is a downside. And this is what many critics are now harping on. That according to the opponents of making daylight saving time permanent, is that one of the effects is going to be in the cold winter months, especially December, January, February, March. And what's going to happen is that in the morning, it is going to be dark. It is going to be colder and it's going to be darker. For example, in Massachusetts, but this goes all the way down to New York City, the average sunrise would be at about 8:15, 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:20 in the morning. In other parts of the country, okay, it's not just 8 o'clock in the morning where you start to see a little bit of light. It's 9 or 9:30 in places, say, like, I don't know, Indianapolis or Seattle or, in Michigan or North Dakota or Montana. So you're looking at sunrises at about 9 a.m., even 9:30 a.m. Now, you're going to say, well, Jeff, why is that so bad? Well, it's bad because a lot of people have children. They go to school. They leave them at a bus stop. And nobody wants to leave their kids where it's dark and it's cold. There's no light whatsoever. They fear it's a safety hazard for kids. It could lead to more fatalities, whereby a car not seeing a kid or a child will hit that child, maybe even more accidents on the road. But they also say it's just more depressing. Nobody wants to go to work or go to school where it's still basically pitch black outside. And so that's one of the big arguments against making daylight saving time permanent. Hence, either go to standard time, and that means that if you go to standard time, the sun would rise at about 5 or 6 in the morning. In the wintertime, yes, it would go down the sunset would be much earlier, but at least you could see when you go to work or you go to school. Or we continue with this biannual ritual that we go through every single year of constantly changing our clocks. Now, President Trump has put his full weight behind the Sunshine Protection Act. As I said, it has passed the House 308 to 117, bipartisan majority. President Trump says if the Senate will pass it, he's urging them to pass it, then he says that he will sign it. And here is what President Trump wrote on Truth Social, supporting the passage of the bill in the House on Tuesday. President Trump said, quote, that the Sunshine Protection Act is so important in that hundreds of millions of dollars are spent every year by people, cities, and states being forced to change their clocks. And the president added, I am going to work very hard to see the Sunshine Protection Act signed into law. It's time that people can stop worrying about the quote-unquote clock, not to mention all of the work and money that is spent on this ridiculous twice-yearly production. And he adds, on top of all of that, it will also be a very nice win for the Republican Party. Take it. In other words, pass something. At least, especially if it's got some bipartisan support. Like, can we get anything done? But, the crust of the matter is he's basically saying, yeah, look, it's going to save us money. He believes it'll make people healthier, and it will end this nonsense, this chaos and confusion that we undergo every 6 months in this country. Now, I am for making daylight saving time permanent. Like I said in my opening monologue, if you want to make it standard time, I'm fine with that too. I prefer more light at the end of the day. I don't like it to see it dark at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, say during the winter time. Okay, that's a bit depressing for me, but I don't care whether it's one or the other, but just end the constant changing of the clocks twice a year. Now, this is going to affect all of us. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just super quick because I want to go to the phone lines. So you would think overwhelming bipartisan support passes the House on Tuesday. President Trump is urging Republicans to back it for many, many reasons. He thinks it's better for business. It will save us money because it is expensive to keep changing the clocks every 6 months. He thinks it's just better for people's health overall, more sunshine at the end of the day, more outdoor activity potentially. And he just, as a businessman, just thinks we should be on one time the entire year. But it's just instead of constantly changing time and the clock. And as he put it, let's pass something. I mean, he's not saying just pass something for the sake of passing something, but his argument is, here you've got Democrats, many of them joining with Republicans. This should be a no-brainer. Nope. In the Senate, it's going to face fierce resistance from both some Republicans and some Democrats. One of them is the grounds that I mentioned in the last segment, that it's going to lead to much darker mornings, colder, darker mornings, especially in the winter months. And they say that's not good for the safety of school children, on their bus stops, going to school, and even for people working. To drive in the dark at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you finish a whole day, and then you're driving back, many of them in the dark. That, people need sunlight, especially in the morning. It's safer. They say it's healthier to have more sunshine in the morning. And so they do not want to see permanent daylight savings time. Others say, and this is Senator Tom Cotton's argument. He's the one leading the charge against the Sunshine Protection Act. Tom Cotton, Republican from Arkansas. His argument is, I'm almost quoting him verbatim, we're a vast continental nation, he says. So we have multiple priorities, multiple interests. Let's split the baby in half, as they say. Let's keep it to a biannual change in the clocks. In other words, keep it. We don't need permanent daylight saving time or one time for the whole year. Split it up the way we've been doing, 6 months, and keep it changing 6 months, 6 months. And this way, there's a little something for everybody. So, as you can tell, they can't pass anything because they can't even agree on something as basic as time. So, my question to you, where do you stand on this issue? It's going to affect all of you, all of us. It's time, it's sunshine, it's darkness. You can't, what they decide now is how days are going to be structured going forward. And it affects your children going to school, you going to work. So, are you in favor of A, the Sunshine Protection Act, permanent daylight saving time? Should we move to that? B, standard time, which is what they have in Hawaii and parts of Arizona. In other words, we will have less sunshine at night or in the evening, at sunset, but much more sunshine and much earlier sunrise. So, and that's the benefit of standard time. So, do you favor standard time, or do you think we should just keep it as is? A biannual changing of the clock. Twice a year, we change the clock. It may be a pain, but it's a compromise. In this sense, if you like daylight saving time, you get half the year. If you like standard time, you get the other half of the year. 617-266-6868. Johnny in New Jersey. You're going to kick us off, Johnny. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Johnny.
I am a long-time proponent of the standard time, the basic standard time, because it's the right time. We don't need to change the clocks every biannually. No, we need to be on standard time. I support standard time because you're going to have people going to work dark every morning. Kids going to school dark in the morning. No good. It's going to be darker in the Midwest. So that's the way I feel. I just think this is a whole mess that they can't even pass a bill like this. And we're talking about this now. And they did this back in 1970s.
No, you're right, Johnny. They did. They did it for 2 years, and they changed it precisely because many people didn't like the fact that it was so dark in the morning. In many places, 8:30, even 9 o'clock in the morning, and there's still no sunrise. I mean, it's dark. So they didn't like their kids going to school in dark. They didn't want to be driving, going to work in the dark. And many people work long days. They don't just end at 4 o'clock, say, or 3 o'clock, or, so there's a bit of sunshine. They would work long days till, 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock even. So they said, hey, I'm getting up. I'm going to work. It's dark. Yeah, it's sunny most of the day, but I'm inside that, I'm in an office or a factory or wherever. I'm inside. So I don't enjoy the sun. So I go to work in the dark and I come home in the dark. And my kids are going to school in the dark. And so they felt it was very unsafe for their kids. They thought it was a risk of them getting hit by a car or by a bus or whatever it may be. They also worry about crime maybe in the morning. That's one of the other arguments they made. So they said, no, we don't want permanent daylight saving time. And that's where we switched it. This was under Nixon. And then we switched it back to what we have now, which is twice a year we change. So, but Johnny, if you had your way, you're saying just keep it permanently on standard time, correct?
Exactly. Just like the states that have the exception. Where are they? At standard time.
So you have a lot more sun in the morning, but you do get less sun in the evening at sunset. In other words, it's not,
I understand totally.
Yeah, in some places it can go as much as 8, even 9 o'clock you have sun. This will be more like 7 o'clock or even 6 o'clock. But you're saying you'd rather have more sun in the morning than more sun in the evening, correct?
Correct. It'd be safer.
Interesting. Johnny, why do you think as a country we just can't even agree on one basic time?
Oh, I've called several times to Congress for this issue. And maybe that's why we're talking about this issue now. Because I hammered them. I called them. I call about every issue. They can't pass nothing. Congress has less than 10% approval rating.
We can see why, Johnny. I mean, it's, anyway, Johnny, thank you very much for that call. All right. So Johnny says, look, yes, one time all year. So end this biannual, changing of the clocks, but not daylight saving time. He wants standard time, i.e. more sunshine in the morning, less sunshine at sunset in the evening. Johnny, look, you know me, I'm a daylight saving time guy, but I'll take standard time. The one thing I just don't want is the changing of the clocks, because it is such a pain and it's so freaking annoying. Honestly, twice every year I'm in a bad mood, and it's because they're going to change the clock. But anyway, that's just me. Doug in Tennessee. Thanks for holding, Doug, and welcome.
Tennessee, Jeff, Eastern Tennessee.
Eastern Tennessee.
Yeah, we're on the Eastern time zone here.
Eastern time zone. All right. Doug, are you a daylight saving time guy, a standard time guy, or keep changing it every 6 months guy?
Well, I when I lived in New England, I always thought that we should go to super daylight savings time and daylight savings time. In other words, we'd be on daylight savings time in the winter, and then we go to super daylight savings time in the summer, so that we'd have an extra hour even. But now that I live on the western edge of a time zone, I have what I've always wanted. The sun doesn't set here until 9 o'clock at night in in the summertime.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then in the winter it sets at about 5:30 instead of 4:30, like it did in the Boston area.
Yeah, Doug, I gotta say, please, I'll give you all the time in the world. I gotta say, one of the things that's depressing about living in New England in the wintertime is just how early it gets dark in the winter. You're right. 3:30, 4, 4:15, 4:30, you're really stretching it. And then it's dark. I mean, sometimes it's pitch black. And it's hard. I mean, it's depressing to have, because I don't go to bed for, whatever, 9, 10, 11, even midnight. So it's just, you always feel like you're living in darkness, especially in the wintertime. Doug, hang on. I want to come back to you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let's go right back to Doug in Tennessee. Forgive me, Eastern Tennessee. Doug, please pick up where you left off.
You asked me, do I favor changing? This will show you how boring my life is. I kind of like the excitement of watching the clocks go ahead in the spring and back in the winter, because it signals the arrival of spring, and it signals the arrival of autumn. It's exciting. But if you don't like that and you want to keep it at let's say daylight savings time, there's a local solution to all these problems people are saying. School bells are programmable. Just program the first bell to ring at 8:20 instead of 7:20. A local business that doesn't like its employees going to work in the dark, they can change their hours from, say, 8 to 5 to 9 to 6. There's always a local solution.
Well, that's an excellent point, Doug. You're right. I mean, businesses and schools can work around it if they really want to. But I just find it interesting. So your earlier point, Doug, so you're saying you want to keep it biannual. To you, it's almost like it announces the arrival of spring, and then it announces the arrival of the fall, and then we're going into winter, correct?
Right.
Interesting. So as you would vote against the Sunshine Protection Act then, correct?
I would, but I wouldn't have a problem with changing it either, because it's not a big deal. There's always a local solution, like I said.
Doug, what do you make of the fact that, something like the weather, something like time, the clock, sunshine in the morning or, more, sunshine in the evening, that even on something like this, Congress just can't get its act together? I mean, are we starting to become ungovernable as a country? I mean, I'm just curious. What's your take?
Yeah, we are. And I think that we need to pass the Save America Act. And we'll never be able to do that because we're just too wimpified.
I'm with you 1,000%. To me, the Save America Act, that's the ball game. That's the most important piece of legislation. No question about it. Doug, as always, thank you very much for that call. All right, so we got one vote so far for Standard Time, and now another second vote, but this one by Doug, for keep it basically as it is. I mean, he's flexible. If you want to change it, fine. He's not going to, pull his hair out. But Doug says no. He likes it. Keep it, biannual. We change the clocks 1 hour ahead, 1 hour behind. To him, it's part of the ritual and the passage of spring and the signaling of the arrival of the fall and eventually winter. Agree, disagree? Chris in Beverly. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing all right. I don't even know where to begin. I'm a little nervous. First time in a long time.
Welcome. You're among friends. There's no reason to be nervous, Chris.
So for me, I don't understand why we're talking about the daylight savings time. I think that's low-bearing fruit. I think something that would be, the SAVE Act. We got politicians ripping the government off, money to Ukraine, term limits. I think there's lots of other things that are way more important. And we're supposed to take this as a gift from God.
Well, Chris, I mean, the only reason why I'm talking about it is because Trump has made he's made it a big issue, and he's urging Republicans to pass it. He says it's important for the country, for business, for our health. And I mean, just think about it. I mean, I think Trump on this he does have a point. Look, we're talking about whether you drive to work in the dark or in sunshine. We're talking about whether you come home, you can have enough sunshine to mow the lawn, go to the park, play with your kids outside, Little League or whatever, or you come home and basically your day's over because there's darkness. In other words, it affects us in a very profound way. In fact, I'm getting a lot of text messages from people saying that they can't stand that the sun, for example, in New England, sets so early in the wintertime that they just say winter's depressing enough as it is. But when you see 4:30, 5 o'clock, and now there's no more sunshine, people say it really depresses them. It's called seasonal depression. So, Trump's point is it's a quality of life issue. And a quality of life issue is not a small thing, number one. Number two, Chris, what Trump is saying is, look, can we get something passed? I mean, you're blocking me on the SAVE Act. You block me on foreign aid. You block me on anything I want to do. Here's a bill, passes the House, 308-117. A lot of Democrats join a huge majority of Republicans. And now I'm facing opposition in the Senate. So he's kind of throwing his hands up like, can you guys do anything? Yeah, you're right. It's low-hanging fruit, but they can't even pass the freaking low-hanging fruit. So, if you can't pass the freaking Sunshine Protection Act or something, equivalent to it, if we can't agree on this, then, Congress is paralyzed. It's useless. I think that's Trump's ultimate point. As he said to the Republicans, look, guys, take a win. Any kind of a win, but just take a win. But no, you can't even take that win. Because you've got Republicans, some Democrats too, to be fair, blocking it now in the Senate. And so Trump's throwing his hands up like, I don't know what to tell you. They will not pass a darn thing in that freaking Congress. Anyway, final word to you. Go ahead, Chris.
I really do. But again, I don't think we're going to get much passed, period. We have a lot of rhinos in there that go against Trump every step of the way. The Democrats speak for themselves. I think that, something more important like the SAVE Act, I think we need to keep pounding and sounding the alarms on the SAVE Act. If we got the SAVE Act passed, we could get politicians in there that actually want to do good for this country, want to help this country move along and do better. I think then we could get rid of some Democrats, and then we could pass stuff like this. But I think there's other more important term limits that need to get passed long before this.
Well, Chris, I think tonight's speech, he's addressing the nation. And I think I know what he's going to say because they've made some leaks to the media. I don't want to jump the gun just in case they change their mind, but he's going to make a huge announcement tonight about election interference. And I think he's going to do it to really galvanize the country to push the SAVE Act over the line. So tomorrow we will definitely be talking about the SAVE Act and about Trump's speech, because what he's about to reveal tonight, from what I've heard, it's going to be one hell of a bombshell. So we're not giving up. I'm not giving up on the SAVE Act. No question about it. Chris, before I let you go, I'm just curious. Where do you stand on this issue? If you were Senator Chris from Beverly or Congressman Chris from Beverly, would you vote for or against the Sunshine Protection Act?
I think I'd keep it the way it is, Jeff, to be honest with you.
The biannual? You mean have it change? The clocks
yes, sir,
change?
I have it twice.
Okay, quickly, why?
I don't have a smart answer to that. I guess I could just say that I'm used to it. It worked for us so far. Maybe something different would be nice. I'm not sure. But as it is, again, it just kind of goes back to me, Jeff, there's more important legislation.
Oh, I understand. No, I hear you. I hear you. Chris, you don't find it, honestly, serious. I mean, look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Please, don't get me wrong. But you don't find it just annoying as hell? That, the clocks change. Is it going forward? Is it going backward? And, twice a year. And I know it takes me days for my sleep schedule to get back to normal when they do that. My wife complains. My kids complain. As Chuck Grassley said, he was asked, are you going to vote for it? He said, yes, because I don't want to hear my wife constantly complain twice a year. So I'm voting for the Sunshine Protection Act. But I take it it doesn't bother you.
I do agree with you, though. It is annoying trying to keep track of everything. Am I changing the clock back? Am I moving them forward? What time of the year is it? I get it. I get it.
But you still keep it as it is. All right, interesting. In other words, it's not that much of an annoyance. Chris, thank you very much for that call. So far, nobody, this is unbelievable. We're 1 hour in, and not one person is so far, at least, in terms of the callers, agrees with the Kuhner man that let's have permanent daylight saving time. Either you want permanent standard time or just leave it as it is. Change the clocks twice a year. I'm like, am I the only one that people... Mike, do you find it annoying to change the clocks twice a year? Your phone does it on its own. Okay, but okay. I mean, so Mike has no problem. Al in Middleborough. Thanks for holding, Al, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Al?
I'm good. First time caller, long time listener.
Welcome, Al.
Thank you. I'm going to get straight to my point. It's brief, but, with the changes we've already had to encounter, I think the change of the clocks is a minor thing. However, if it's something people feel the need for, I'd go with standard. Last year, I woke up to 3 feet of snow just to get from my walkway to my car, let alone to clear it. In the darkness is not going to be good. Then it's going to put more pressure on people that get to work because they're already late. And I just think if we have to make a change, standard, but otherwise stick to what we have. We've got bigger fish to fry. I think term limits is a big issue. Too many people in that office that should have been retired a long time ago and allow more accurate, independent thought process on what's going on with this country. I'm tired
Al,
of
I agree. No, Al, I agree. I think term limits, we need them. The SAVE Act to me is the key piece of legislation. Now, just to explain, this is the first piece of legislation that is, what do you say, like, out of the gates. All right, this is the first one. So they're going to have to vote on it. I mean, the House passed it, and now the Senate's going to have to make a decision. Either vote and pass it and give it to President Trump for his signature, which is what he's asking for, or they're going to kill it. But the SAVE Act, we don't even know if they're going to get to it. Now, tonight's speech may change that because of the revelations Trump is going to make. But as things stand right now, they don't want to touch term limits. They don't want to touch the SAVE Act. They don't want to touch most important pieces of legislation that you and I and this audience consider important. But I'm just saying it's taken 10 years. I'm just giving you President Trump's argument. It took me 10 years to get to this point so I can get permanent daylight saving time. Because he thinks the idea of this biannual changing of the clocks, his words, not mine, is quote unquote ridiculous. So he says, a lot of other countries don't do it. Why should we be the only ones doing it? It's expensive. It's annoying. He says it's just a pain in the neck, and let's just end the practice once and for all. He says we have the votes in the House. We have many Democrats that are willing to side with us in the Senate. And now I'm being blocked. And, we're talking about, it's a 2-hour vote. So he's like, we can get this done today. And I'll sign it today. And as he said, for God's sake, pass something. Take a win. Put something up in the win column. Nothing. Already now you got obstructionists. So it's not even an up or down vote. They're just going to kill it. And Trump, as I said, he's exasperated. Like he goes, can you guys pass anything? Anything. I don't care. I don't know. We love Mickey Mouse. Can you just pass that? Like, just do something. But Al, so you're basically saying either keep it as is, or if we're going to do it permanently, do it standard time. You want more sunshine in the morning than in the evening, correct?
That'll help me get to my car to get to, where I need to go.
I hear you.
These people are the only thing that they are good about passing is wind through what. And they've got to get their act together because they're not showing me they're for this country. They're just the opposite of it. So if you don't like this country, go elsewhere.
Amen.
Less people that we have to deal with.
Amen. Amen. Al, thank you very much for that call. Okay. Al says, well, if you put, a gun to my head, I'll, standard time all year long. But honestly, keep it as it is. Just change the clocks twice a year. I'm good with it. So we're now 7:06. No one has sided with the Kuhner man yet. On the text line, yes. And emails, yes. But in terms of the calls, now, I don't know if this is Mike, who loves to torture me for the hell of it, and he's just putting all the anti-permanent daylight saving time people on the air, or the audience just really doesn't like this idea. Ron on the Cape. Thanks for holding, Ron, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ron?
Not bad, not bad. I got an easy solution for this mess. Fall back a half an hour and leave it be. What's the difference? They probably can't even do that, though.
Well, Ron, it's funny you should mention that because I got a text from 603. I was going to read it later in the show. But basically, the 603 was urging what you're saying. He goes like, Jeff, can't we split the proverbial baby? In other words, just, half an hour. Just change it half an hour. And this way everybody gets a little something. And, the question is solved. It's resolved. Ron, I think the reason why lawmakers, to be fair to them, and I'm not a big fan of them, I think it's because this would really put us off sync with the Europeans and the Asians because, we're at the half hour. So it would really throw things off because, Europe is 6 hours, 5 hours ahead or 6 hours ahead or 7 hours ahead. And, Asian countries are behind us, but it's not by half an hour. It's by, on the hour, whatever, 8 hours behind, 10 hours behind. So I think if we went with the half hour, it would settle things here, but I think it would create problems with other countries and other time zones. I think that would be the counter argument. What say you, Ron?
Kind of tired about worrying about other countries. Let's worry about ourselves and take care of ourselves first.
So Ron, so you're an America firster even when it comes to time, right?
10-4.
So Ron, you're saying split the baby. Let's go half an hour. Correct?
Let's do it. Why not? I mean, why not? I mean, it makes sense. They're complaining about time. How much? Oh, I'm sorry. They're complaining about, it's going to be dark. It's going to be light. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. Half an hour is not going to make a snowball's difference.
As long as it's the same time all year, Ron, I'll take it. I'll take it, Ron. Ron, the changing of the clocks, does that bother you as much as it bothers me?
I could care less.
You could care less.
I could care less.
Why,
we got bigger fish to fry. Let's get the SAVE Act passed.
I know. I hear you. But, Ron, why do you think it bothers me so much?
I don't know. I'm not in your head.
No, I thought maybe you had a theory, I don't know why. I wake up always in a bad mood when they change the clocks. I've always been like that. I have no idea why. Yeah, even then when we fall back and I get the extra hour, it just throws my whole sleep rhythm off. I'll admit I'm a sensitive guy. I mean, really, I like a routine. I'm very much into routine. And if anything disrupts my routine, I'm not a happy man. So yeah, I mean, do I like the extra hour sleep? Yes, but then that throws me off anyway, because then I can't sleep for a while because I've been sleeping too much. So that's why I just like it one time the whole year and leave me alone. Ron, thank you very much for that call. Very creative. Ron says, you know what? Half an hour. Change it half an hour. So there. How much more difference can a half an hour make? And by the way, so far, nobody is yet supporting me or the president. I just want to mention that we should have permanent daylight saving time. Antoinette on the Cape. Thanks for holding, Antoinette, and welcome.
Hi, good morning, Jeff. Nice to talk to you. It's been a little bit.
Welcome, Antoinette.
Thank you. Spring ahead and fall back. It's no big deal. I always thought it was a nice rite of passage of the two seasons of the year, and it's the dark never bothered me, never had any kind of darkness, depression. It's such a short period of time when it's darker, in the morning, in the evening, and I find it to be very cozy with a hot cup of coffee in the morning, and the night times are longer, and then there's this nice transition to the light, and I think it's a very comforting time. So I say leave it be and enjoy the transition of the seasons. And
do you change your clocks in your home? I know a lot of people have iPhones, iPads. It does it for you automatically. And I have that as well. But, on the microwave, we have a couple of other more, what do you call them, manual clocks. Okay, let's go right back to Antoinette on the Cape Cod. Antoinette likes the biannual changes of the clock. She says it's a great way to usher in spring, come in, sort of slide into fall. She says it gets you almost like sort of melding with the seasons. So she doesn't want a change. She does not want to see the Sunshine Protection Act passed. Antoinette, I'm just curious. Do you have a house the way my home is, whereby you've got the microwave clock, you've got other manual clocks, you have an alarm clock that's also manual. So when there is a time change, you're spending half of the next day just changing the clocks in the house. Do you have that, or are you all digital?
Virtual. So the things that change automatic, like your cell phones and things like that. And then you go around, you change the microwave, the oven, and to me, it's a ritual. It's really not a big deal. I find it very comforting for the changes. So I really wouldn't vote for it. I'm kind of neutral. If it is, it is. You kind of roll with it. But I tend to like the spring ahead, fall back, and I like the comfort of the changing of the light. It's almost like the awaiting of spring. You're waiting for the leaves to come on, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, everything appears. I like the transition. I think that it's fine. Sometimes it's even a time frame of when. I have a friend that, we don't see each other that often, and we see each other twice a year when we change the clock. So to me, it's a ritual, and it's comforting. I think that it's fine the way
I find it annoying as hell. I hate changing clocks, especially in my car. It's just not easy. And, and I have it exactly at the right minute, the way I like it. And anyway, it's just... if I can avoid it, I'm a happy man. So anyway, I'm like, I really was hoping this thing is going to pass. By the response now from you and many others, I don't think it's going to pass. I don't see a groundswell of support. That's for sure. But Antoinette, listen, look, honestly, God bless you. And I wish I had your Zen because you're very calm. Very calm. You're very soothing. And maybe I'm just, overwired and overcaffeinated. But it's the two worst times of the year for me is when they when they change the clock. It upsets me to no end. But that's me. Antoinette, thank you very much for that call. Mike, are you doing this on purpose? This has never happened to me before, Mike, where, not one caller is agreeing, not just with me, but with the president. I've never, that's never happened to me, Mike, since Trump won, since Trump won the presidency. Frank in South Carolina. Thanks for holding, Frank, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Frank, how are you?
Good. I'll tell you something. You did a little whoopsie this morning,
What was the whoopsie?
You're supposed to say, Frank from the great state of South Carolina.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is, by the way, a great state. I love South Carolina. I honeymooned in South Carolina. I've been there multiple times. If I was to retire to a southern climate, I'm telling you, without hesitating, it'd be South Carolina. Grace, that's a different issue, but for the Kuhner man, if I had things my way, Frank, definitely to the great state of South Carolina. But I digress. Let that go. Frank, daylight savings time, do you want to see it permanent, or do you want to go to standard time permanent, or do you want to leave it as is? Where does Frank from the great state of South Carolina stand on this issue?
I'll tell you, you're not going to believe this. Jeff, I agree with you again.
Oh, my God. Finally, the first one. The first one.
You know what I'm thinking? you know what makes me, I'm laughing because I know what I'm going to say before I say it. But maybe we're like a lot of people are from Massachusetts, and they're so darn depressed with the cost of everything, the catering to the illegals, all this stuff. Maybe people are into the doom and gloom. Oh, my God. and Jeff, I gotta say one more thing to you. If I'm being too personal, please let me know.
Definitely contact you. Okay, no question about it. If I ever go down to Charleston, I'll be honest, I don't see myself going to South Carolina for a while for all kinds of reasons. My kids, they want me to take them to Europe. Grace wants to go to Italy. I'm like, why can't we see the United States? There's still so many beautiful parts of the United States to visit. My kids are into Europe now, and Grace is pushing my Ashton and my Ava to learn Italian. Can you freaking believe it? So, I'm surrounded, Frank. So I think I'll be seeing Rome before I see Charleston. But I've been to Charleston, and it's a beautiful American city. I love it. One of my favorite cities in America. Frank, thank you for that offer, and God bless you, my friend. Okay, well, there it is. Finally. Okay, for those of you just coming in now at 7:30, Congress has passed, the House of Representatives has passed a bill called the Sunshine Protection Act. President Trump is a huge supporter of it. It passed bipartisan, 308 to 117. 95 Democrats, 22 Republicans voted against it, but about 100 or so Democrats voted for it, and the overwhelming majority of Republicans voted for it as well. President Trump is urging the Senate to pass it. He says he will sign it immediately, and it would end the biannual changing of the clocks, where in the spring we go up an hour, in the fall we go back an hour. This that's been going on for decades now, this would come to an end, and we would have permanent daylight saving time. One time the entire year, with usually a lot more sunshine in the evening. That would be one of the big results if there was permanent daylight saving time. So many of you are reacting to this. 617-266-6868. Many of you are for it. You're not calling, although one did, Frank in South Carolina. But apparently you've been emailing me, texting me, and many of you are against permanent daylight saving time. So, and it falls between, some of you want permanent standard time, and many of you want to just leave it as it is. You like the changing of the clocks, and many of you say it, helps with spring and it helps with fall, and you've learned to get used to it, and in fact, you like it. It's just part of your rhythm in terms of with the new seasons and with the new times. Okay, this is from 603, and someone called earlier, Ron on the Cape, and we touched on it. Jeff, what if we went to the half-hour mark between standard time and daylight saving time and settled there permanently? I suppose we would be out of sync by half an hour with the rest of the world, but who cares? Would that work? Well, yeah, we could make it work. I think a lot of businesses would complain. I think airports would complain. Like, I could see certain groups complaining because we would be really out of sync with both Europe and Asia and Latin America. In other words, okay, are you 6 hours behind? Are you 4 hours behind? Are you 3 hours ahead? Once you start getting into the half-hour mark, I think that would start to become confusing. So I think that's why Congress would rule it out. But hey, look, I just want one time. So even if it's at the half-hour mark, you want to compromise between saving time and standard time, I'll take it. 617-266-6868. Okay, this is from David on Messenger, and here's what he wrote. Jeff, it is severely depressing that in the cold, dark fall and winter in Massachusetts, at 3:45 and 4 p.m., it's already dark. It's ridiculous. There is absolutely no reason to stay in the dark that early. And frankly, I do care a lot about this issue. I want more daylight in the afternoon. I'm with you, David. Hallelujah. That's what I've been saying. Okay, one more. This is from Mark. Jeff, please, if you can, read it. Okay, I will, Mark. I am all in on leaving the clocks right where they are now. I love that there is more daylight opposed to being dark out at 5 p.m. in the winter. Winter is depressing enough as it is. Then you throw darkness at 5 p.m. on top of that. It's so depressing because it feels like the day is over way too early. I think this will put people in better moods overall, and I believe it's more healthy. And I think the more daylight in the PM hours, the less crime on the streets, because more crimes happen in the PM than in the AM. So I'm all for it, 1,000%. Sunshine forever. Mr. Garcia. Thanks for holding, Mr. Garcia, and welcome.
Hello, long time no speak. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Nice to hear from you, Mr. Garcia.
Oh, nice to hear your voice. Listen, I want to ask you a question. I work with the government. I work the maintenance department here in the government.
So you work the night shift, Mr. Garcia, correct?
Well, no, I work at 6 a.m.
Oh, you work at 6 a.m., okay.
I take a ladder to change the time clock, every floor. We have 10 floors. We have to change about at least 55 clocks. I'm getting old. I'm not young. I'm 65. And when I was young, I'm working 32 years in the government. When I was 22, I don't mind to change every clock. But now you're getting old, your legs getting tired, and you have to go up. And the ladder is so heavy, you have to lift. It's hard. It's difficult. I believe Trump has to sign this bill. And the Congress has to pass it. I don't care because it's hard for the people. You save time and you save a lot of money to change all the clock. You have to change the clock. And also, I want to ask you a question. It's very dangerous to climb a ladder to change every clock. You can get hurt.
Oh, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I mean, look, you said you're 65 years old now. You're still young, relatively young, but, you're not 25, as you said. And, you got to do 10 floors, change 55 to 60 clocks, and you got to do that twice a year? You got to drag this heavy ladder wherever you go? Yeah, I'd be against it, too, if I were you. So, and I think that's another reason why Trump is pushing to, have permanent daylight saving time. Look at the waste of energy. Look at the waste of time. Look at what someone like you has to go through. And just how it's annoying. It's uncomfortable. It's for you a little bit dangerous, frankly. And it's just redundant. I'm like, and we're just, wait, you think we don't have better things to do? I'm sure you have much better things to do than to haul a ladder around on 10 floors and change 55, 60 clocks twice a year. So that's why I'm all for one time, one clock, the whole year. That's it. Life is hard enough as it is. Why do we have to complicate it and make it more difficult? So I'm with you, Mr. Garcia. That's why I support the president on this. I support the Sunshine Protection Act, daylight saving time all year, no excuses. Mr. Garcia, God bless you and thank you for that call. Agree, disagree. Jason in North Reading. Thanks for holding, Jason, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Jason.
How are you this morning?
Very good. How are you?
I'm on your side.
Oh, my God.
Here's why.
I can't believe it. You got through, huh?
Nobody's brought this up yet.
Mike let you on the air, huh? I bet you fooled him. I bet you said to him, "Oh, I can't stand Kuhner. Oh, he's so wrong on this like everything else." I bet that's how you stayed on the line, Jason. Smart, very smart. All right, go ahead, my friend.
Well, daylight savings in the fall creates the most accidents and injuries on that Monday morning in the workplace. Some of those every year end in death. Right there is the number one reason we need to end it altogether.
I love it.
You lose an hour's sleep, and that throws a lot of people off completely.
Jason, I love your argument because that is true, by the way. There accidents and fatalities do go up because you're right. When you change people's sleep and their sleep schedule, it throws their body off. It throws their coordination off, and it affects them. It affects how they drive. It affects how they work. It affects their quality of life. Look, I'm thrown off. Twice a year, I'm thrown off. My body clock is thrown off, and it stays with me for days and days and days. Why do I have to suffer and endure this? Like, Jason, right? What did I do to deserve this? Jason, do you want to hang on? Because I want to ask you a question, but God forbid Mike should give me an extra 15 seconds. So, Jason, please hang on. I'm going to come back to Jason. He says, let's go to permanent daylight savings time. It's going to save lives. Okay, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Which daylight savings time do you prefer? A, the current system, where the clock changes twice a year, in the spring and, of course, in the fall. 2, more sun in the morning, i.e. standard time. 3, more sun at night, i.e. daylight saving time. So which of the daylight savings time do you prefer? Because obviously now there could be a law that's going to be, a bill that's going to be passed and made into law. Is it the current system? Biannually, we change our clocks every spring, every fall. 2, permanent standard time, meaning it would lead to more sun in the morning. Or 3, what Trump is now advocating and what the House and Congress just passed, waiting for the Senate to see what they'll do. Permanent daylight saving time, meaning more sun in the evening. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, KUHN as in National ER. You can also vote via X. I was very active again on X last night, announcing, of course, the big reversal that Trump made of Mark Wayne Mullen's decision to order all ICE agents to stop or suspend traffic stops for those with illegal aliens in the vehicles. This was done behind Trump's back, and Trump was very angry about it, and he has overturned the decision. And now we're going back to the better policy, the old policy of now having constant traffic stops if there's illegal aliens in the vehicle. So I was tweeting about that or Xing about that last night. But anyway, if you want to vote on this, my handle on X, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, at the Kuhner Report, KUHN as in National ER. Okay, Jason in North Reading, he made an excellent point. When we keep changing times, as we do twice a year, it's proven statistically people's body is off, their rhythm, their clock. They're not as focused. They don't concentrate as well. They tend to have more accidents on the road, and that also leads to more fatalities in the day or several days after the change in the, an hour ahead or an hour behind, a change in the clock. Jason, the question I have for you, why do you think, in your opinion, there is so much resistance to having permanent daylight saving time? Why do you think people are so uncomfortable with having a clock, same time, all year round? What's your theory, Jason?
People don't like change. It's really that simple. The majority of people in this country especially do not like when their routine is changed. And they've been used to it for however long they've been alive, so they don't want to change it.
That's interesting. I mean, I like my routine as well. The problem is it gets disrupted twice a year. You know what I'm saying, Jason? my rhythm, my body clock gets disrupted. And then it takes me a while to get it reset again. That's why I find the whole thing so annoying. Jason, do you think they will pass it in the Senate now that it passed the House and Trump is putting a lot of pressure to get this thing done?
But they've yet been able to agree on anything.
So you're pessimistic.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Jason. All right. Jason is for permanent daylight saving time. Jason, thank you so much for that call. Mark in Salem. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome. Mark, do we have you?
Oh, yeah, Jeff, sorry.
No worries. All right, we got you, Mark. Go ahead. The floor is yours. Welcome.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I referee. I'm retired, but I also referee high school soccer. And sometimes, the games don't start till 4:30 or so, and it starts to get dark. And I'd hate to. The point that I'm trying to make is I would hate to see it standard time year round. I'm totally against that. And I agree with Ron when he said do the half hour, split the difference. And that's where I stand.
Interesting. But you're saying no matter what, don't do standard time because, yeah, you get a lot more sun in the morning, right? With the sunset, it sunset much earlier. You get a lot more sun, probably starting even at 5 in some cases in the morning. The problem is in the winter time, by 4:30, it's pitch black out there. Mark, I got to say, that to me is one of the hardest things and I like New England. I love the weather in New England for the most part. I do love the 4 seasons. I like 4 seasons. Grace likes it hotter. She would like to move to a climate where it's basically no winter, but that, let that go. I personally like the 4 seasons. The one thing I don't like, I'm with you. It's 4:30, maybe 5, let's say, and it's pitch black. I don't know. It just feels like the day is too short. And then you live in darkness for so many hours, in the evening. And then because I get up so early, because I wake up in the middle of the night to go to work, so I feel like I'm driving, it's pitch black. This is the winter time. So, when I'm driving to work, it's pitch black. And then I come home and I want to play with my kids outside in the snow, or not now, they're a bit older, but, take a walk or walk Rocky or whatever. And it's pitch black. And it does, you need sunshine. Your body needs it. Your brain needs it. Your eyes need it. It does. You do get gloomy. I mean, I feel it. I get gloomier by like January, especially February, March. I do get a little bit of what they call seasonal depression. I'm not going to jump off a bridge, or don't get me wrong, but you just feel a bit more down, a little bit more depressed, a little bit more gloomy. And I can't wait for the spring. Can't wait for the spring because I think there's just not enough sun in the afternoon. So I'm with you. I would not like to have standard time all year. Mark, do you like this current system, or do you want to change it? The clocks being, biannually changed every year.
I say I'm with Ron. Half an hour. Like you say, come December, middle of December, when it's dark, when it's pitch dark at 4:30. I hate that. I really do.
No, I'm with you. Split it in half and have it all year. I'm good with that as well. Mark, thank you very much for that call. Barbara, see, I thought I was the only one. Barbara that hates when it gets dark so early. Barbara in Maine. Thanks for holding, Barbara, and welcome.
Jeff, let me just take you off the speaker for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, is that better? Yes, I'm a long-time listener. I've been listening to you since I moved to Maine.
Welcome.
14 years ago from New Jersey, where I used to listen to you when you showed up on Savage Show. My husband was your most virulent fan, loved you to death. And I just wanted to say that he suffered very deeply from seasonal advanced disorder. Him and his mother, and actually his brother as well. And as soon as the times changed, the sun would start getting darker in the morning, his mood would change to severe depression. And it would last all the way until about December. And it took us a long time to figure out what was wrong with him, but he would go into these violent, sometimes deep depressions, and his mother was very bad. She dreaded the winter, the early part of the winter. And nobody knew about this disorder until, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. His brother went out and bought lights, and he sits in front of those lights in the morning and some parts of the day, and it helps him greatly with feeling this overwhelming feeling of sadness. And I can remember my mother-in-law. As soon as she started seeing the leaves change, her depression and it affected the whole family. Everybody was distressed with this disorder. So I just thought maybe you should get that checked out. It might help you deal with some of the feelings that you have.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Barbara, thank you. And I'm very sorry to hear about your brother and your family. Look, I can just to add to what you're saying, this is why for many people, this is a big issue. I know compared to the SAVE Act and other issues, yeah, of course, SAVE Act is much more important. But, that's why Trump is a real champion of this issue. He's like, no, man, this affects people's mental well-being, their mental health, just their state overall, how they feel. Their happiness level and their sadness level. In Sweden, as I say, in Sweden, for example, their winters are brutal. And I don't mean that it's cold. I mean, by 2:30 in the afternoon sometimes, it's pitch black. It's pitch black. And the sun maybe comes out by 8, 9 in the morning. So I have a couple of Swedish friends, and they say, Jeff, during some periods in winter, sunrise at maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then it lasts for about maybe 5, 6 hours maximum. And by 2:30, 3 at the latest, it is pitch black outside. And he says, in Sweden, it's a problem. They have one of the highest suicide rates in the world. They have one of the highest rates of depression in the world. And it's directly tied to the weather, especially the winter weather, because the body needs sunlight. And, the body, living in darkness is very hard. It's very hard. Biochemically in your brain, it's very, very hard. And so what they do in Sweden is what you mentioned about your husband. They're very big into these, very bright lights and they put them on all the time, especially in the wintertime, in the morning, in the afternoon. Blaring big lights, powerful lights. And apparently now it does help. So it alleviates some of the pain, the suffering, and the depression. So, no, I hear you, Barbara. And for some people, it's very painful. They get very depressed. 617-266-6868. That's why I would never live in a place like Sweden. Not because it's a beautiful country, beautiful architecture. People are actually very friendly, all kidding and teasing aside. And contrary to myth, people say Scandinavians don't make good food. That's not true. They make excellent fish. The more meat and potatoes or pasta, no, that's not their strength. So if you want, more traditional meat diet, well, don't go to Sweden or Norway or Denmark. But if you like fish, the food is very good. Very good. So no, they do make good food. and beautiful country. They're great at winter sports. People are generally very social. They're very friendly. But those winters, it's the darkness. Basically 18 hours of darkness every day. I mean, that is brutal. I couldn't do it. I'm telling you, I couldn't do it. Bill in Walpole. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Bill?
Very good. I've been giving lots of thought to this daylight saving time changeover pretty much my whole life. Most of my family lives outside of New England in Colorado. We've met at the theater that time. And we realized that New England is, at least the eastern end of it, is really a Atlantic time zone section. And they didn't want 5 time zones when they were standardizing time for the railroad, have schedules. Everyone used to set a plumb bob, and it was high noon at that location. 15 minutes down the road, it was high noon. 15 minutes later, that type of thing. Well, they changed to make standard time like this, and then they changed to put the standard to daylight saving time. Why not change again for today? And I think I am 100% with you. Get rid of this change. I don't care whether they go to standard time or Eastern or daylight saving. But I think one thing that's overlooked is New England should really be on Atlantic time, at least the eastern end of it. If you look at the globe, you'll see that we're sticking out in the ocean, and that's Atlantic time.
Bill, I agree with you. I agree with you. We should be on Atlantic time, not on Eastern Standard Time. You're completely right. Now, to be fair, and I agree with you, so please don't misunderstand me. I think the reason why is because Boston is a financial center. They do a lot of business with New York. They do a lot of business with people around the world or in the rest of the country. And so they feel that if we went to Atlantic time, that would make us out of sync and a little bit less competitive. So I think that's why they have us in the Eastern time zone. But I agree with you. If you look at it geographically, we're like the Maritimes in Canada, and they're all on Atlantic time. So, I think in theory I would be, in fact, somebody suggested it as a bill, and this was about 4, 5, maybe 6 years ago, and I supported it. I said, no, if you want to be geographically, if you want to be in the right zone geographically, just look at us. We're basically, horizontally, we're underneath Nova Scotia. So Nova Scotia is Atlantic time zone. So we should be in the Atlantic time zone. Mike is saying, hell no. Why, Mike? Okay, so, all right, well, there you go. So Mike says, can you imagine watching Sunday Night Football and the game doesn't start at 8:30, but it actually starts at 9:30? So Mike is like, hell no, no way over his dead body is he ever going to allow us to go into the Atlantic time zone. You see what I'm dealing with here, Bill? You see what I'm talking about? So, you can't do anything. Everybody opposes you at every turn. Bill, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Tom in Boston. Thanks for holding, Tom, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, how you doing? I'm with you, and it should be all year long. Time, daylight savings time.
I love you, brother.
Ridiculous.
In a non-sexual way, I love you, brother. Tell me why. Just please pile on. Tell me why.
Well, first off is I want to comment about, Congress and where they stand with this. There was an old movie. I don't know if you've ever seen any Marx Brothers movies, Horse Feathers.
I never saw that one. No, Tom.
There's this song where he's like, and the whole song, Groucho's singing, whatever it is, I'm against it. No matter what it is, I'm against it. That's Congress, especially with Donald Trump. and the old. No,
but it's true, Tom. Whatever he's for, they're against. It's incredible. You know, one thing I've recommended to the administration, they chuckled. I don't think they're going to do it, but I say, you know, you really want to score a massive political, you know, victory over the Democrats. Trump should come out and name a day Anti-Hitler Day. Say, no, we should have a day to just condemn Adolf Hitler. You know, just we hate the guy. We hate the Nazis, everything we did. And just have a day, you know, where we just condemn Hitler. And I go, you watch. If he's for it, the Democrats will become pro-Hitler. I go, watch. I'm telling you. I go, just do it. And he's like, well, come on, we got to be serious. I go, no, I'm telling you. They'll block you. It won't even happen. They'll block you in the House. They'll block you in the Senate. They'll block you in the media. They'll act like it's the greatest crime of the century. A day devoted, you know, an anti-Hitler, anti-Nazi day. And, you know, we can even have like a burning the Nazi flag ceremony, like at the White House or on Capitol Hill or something. I go, they're going to go nuts. They're going to oppose it. And I go, you'll finish them right there. So you're completely right. If Trump is for anything, curing cancer, they're against it. But I digress. Go ahead, Tom.
Like I said, I mean, it makes so much sense. I used to coach, you know, youth football, and most of the time, and it's like October and, you know, early November, and we're practicing under the lights. It's crazy. You know, we're supposed to practice during the day. And, you know, like I say, same with soccer and all these sports. You know, aside from that, you know, when Ben Franklin came up with daylight saving time, I think he was the one. It was because we were an agrarian society. So you kind of went with the rhythm of the animals, you know. You got up when the cows got up because you had to milk them, you know, and you had to plant, you know, and you know, do all of the farming. It made sense. We got electric lights now.
Oh, amen, brother. Amen. Tom, thank you so much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask you, should we go to permanent daylight saving time? In other words, we don't have to change the freaking clocks every 6 months. Maybe stop that, you know, that annoying ritual every 6 months, that biannual ritual that it just drives me crazy. Or do you like it? Many of you are texting me saying you love it. We've had many callers say they love it. So where do you stand on this issue? And Trump is saying, take the win. Why can't Republicans take the win? Just, can they pass anything? That's the question now. 617-266-6868 is the number. Lines are blazing. Mark in Connecticut. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Mark, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm good. Hey, all this conversation is academic anyways, because it proved earlier in the week that the only thing that Congress can pass is gas. That's it. You know.
You're talking about, you had to get that one in there. You're talking about Chuck Schumer, right? And the speech that he delivered, and it was caught, it was on video, and apparently he laid one, let's put it that way. He passed gas, and it was so loud. Everybody was able to hear it. I guess I take it that's what you're referring to, right, Mark?
Exactly.
Mark, what are your feelings? I mean, you're a truck driver. You're out on the road a lot. What are your feelings about maybe having permanent daylight savings time, or would you like to leave it as is? We change the clock twice a year.
To me personally, it doesn't matter. I get up at between 1 and 1:30 every morning, and I usually get home at around 5 or 6 in the afternoon. So, you know, in the winter, it's dark and dark and dark. So that doesn't matter to me. My main concern is having those children stand out in the street in dark waiting for school buses. And seeing that there are adults who get messed up. I never heard of that until this show just today. That get messed up from the from the dark in winter and stuff and everything. Maybe we should just split it half and half like that. I was going to say go to all standard time, but I mean, I guess I've never heard of that before, but it's a serious thing, I guess, where, people get depressed because of darkness.
Well, Mark, I mean, I don't think I'm speaking out of school here because, it's my family and I got to be careful what I say. But, Grace's younger sister, Lori, she and her husband, Rich, my brother-in-law, very nice. I love Rich and obviously I love Lori. She's been a great sister-in-law and very close with Grace. And she always used to live near us, whether it was in Washington, D.C. or, wherever we went. But she found it very hard, especially in the winters, because it would get way too dark. And it just really bothered her, what they call seasonal depression. And so she ended up moving to Arizona. That's, in fact, how she met her husband. And she loves Arizona. And one of the reasons why she loves it, A, standard time, B, it's always sunny. Yes, it can be unbearably hot in the summertime. Unbearably hot, but it's always sunny. And her mental health has improved considerably. Her mood has improved considerably. She feels so much better ever since she's been living there now for, I think, 20 years? So, but she said I would, we just talk once in a while. I go, hey, would you ever move back to the Northeast or, on the East Coast? And she said, never. Because of, it gets too dark, especially in the wintertime. Just not enough sun. So, Mark, I can tell you, it's real. It does affect people. But, I do find your argument about the kids going to school in the morning. If it's too dark, too cold, we got to think about them. And I think that's a very good argument against permanent daylight savings time. So, look, I think it's one of the reasons why, people are against it. Because you don't want your children, going to school or waiting at the side of the street or wherever for a bus and it's pitch black outside. That's I think the one big argument against it. Mark, as always, thank you very much for that call. Speaking of Arizona, Charles in Arizona. Thanks for holding, Charles, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I haven't been able to call you for a while. I love Arizona time. Absolutely love it. I think that's what the entire country needs.
That's standard time, correct?
That's the thing. I don't know if it's standard. I don't know what it is.
Trust me. Arizona and Hawaii are it's not all of Arizona, but much of Arizona and Hawaii are standard time. And they're going to stay standard time. They've already told Trump, even if you get this law passed, we're not going to daylight saving time. So, it's standard time. Lori, my sister-in-law, loves it. Just like you. Her husband, Rich, born and raised in Arizona, loves it. They go, we wouldn't give it up for the world. But anyway, please, keep going, Charles.
It's standard time. But the problem is that sometimes it's mountain time. I have to put down mountain time. Sometimes standard time. Sometimes, let's see, am I 2 hours from New England time? Am I 3? It's irritating. Picking just one time and just leaving it. And as far as seasons go, yeah, New England has 4 seasons, but Arizona really has seasons also. You just let nature take its course. Right now it's 5:30, the sun's coming out. There's no problem with that. It may not seem like much, but it is a big difference when you don't have to change your clock. You don't have to worry about it. The kids don't have to worry about it. It just makes your life so much easier. And it's hot in the winter, but it's also freezing. And it's hot in the summer, but it's freezing in the winter. And so we get freeze warnings all the time. It gets lower 30s, even the 20s in the desert and in the winter. So we get the seasons too because we don't change the time.
I'm with you, Charles. That's Lori says it's another thing she loves about Arizona. You never change the time. Okay, my wonderful sister-in-law, Lori, who's out in Arizona, as I mentioned, with her husband, Rich, texted me while we were off air. And she says, yes, people do get, whatever you call it, seasonal depression or, from staying living in a place where there's not enough sunshine. And she says, actually, the technical term is seasonal affective disorder. and it's commonly referred to as SAD. Like being sad. But it's seasonal affective disorder, and she says it really is sad, both figuratively and literally. So, yeah, for some people, it really, it does cause sadness or, minor depression or whatever. You just don't feel right. You crave and lack sunlight. And so I think that's another reason why President Trump in particular is saying we should have permanent daylight saving time, because that will increase sunshine, especially in the evening. That's his argument. So when people come home, they'll have more time to be outside. It won't be dark. It'll be sunnier, and they can do chores around the house. They can do gardening. They can mow the lawn. They can go take a jog. They can take a walk. They can go to the park, because there will be more sunlight in the evening and at night. Anyway, that's one of the key arguments in favor of this. Agree, disagree. Tim in Winthrop. Thanks for holding, Tim, and welcome.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Tim?
Okay, a long time. Ed King who was governor in 1980, and Baker did a combination. In 1980, Ed King said the same thing you said. And then Baker said, why not go to Atlantic Standard Time? What do you think about that? A double whammy. Super.
Yeah, no, I like Atlantic. I mean, personally, I like now, many of you are messaging and texting the Kuhner man saying, well, we're not under Nova Scotia, which is true. I kind of miss more like New Brunswick. So we're not, but if you look at us geographically, especially if you go, let's say, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, so look at the islands there, and then just go horizontally straight. You're going to hit New Brunswick. That's the Canadian Maritimes. So, I could see an argument for us that geographically we're much closer to the Maritimes than, say, we are to Quebec or Ontario, which is where, you have Eastern Time or in terms of Canada. And, New York State, that's different. They're more Eastern Time. But I think you look at Rhode Island, you look at Connecticut, you look at Massachusetts, you look at New Hampshire, especially you look at Maine, Eastern Maine in particular. I think you're in the Atlantic time zone. Now, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I mean, it is what it is, and Mike's against it, and many of you are against it for all kinds of reasons. Mike doesn't want to watch his Sunday night football beginning at 9:30 instead of 8:30. So I think practically it's not going to fly. But no, Tim, I'm with you. If they said to me, Jeff, we have a bill, and Massachusetts and certain other New England states would fall under the Atlantic time zone, I go, it makes sense to me. But, to me, the bigger issue is this, Tim. I just want one time for the whole year. That's all. That's all I want. Whether it's standard time, daylight saving time, I don't care. Pick one or the other. I prefer daylight, but it doesn't matter. And I'm with Trump. I think it costs a lot of money to keep changing these clocks. I think it wastes a lot of energy, a lot of manpower. I'm a very simple man. I like routine. I want one clock for the whole year. Makes life very, very simple. I can just speak from my own experience. It throws my body rhythm schedule off. My sleep pattern is disrupted. I don't feel as good. My routine is thrown off. And it happens twice a year. And I ask myself, why? Every time it happens, I go, why? Why do I have to be so inconvenienced? Now, if it was for a national security reason, I'd say, okay. If it was to help out the farmers, I'd say, okay. I'm willing to, suck it up as if I'm an American. I want what's best for this country. But I look at the reasons why we do it, and I understand and I appreciate people's point of view. But I'm just saying personally, I'm telling you, I find it a real pain in the you-know-where. I don't like changing clocks. I don't like having my sleep pattern disrupted. I don't feel well for a couple of days. It happens all the time. I just, man, no, I'd like to have, Arizona does it. No one dies. Hawaii does it. No one dies. The Europeans, they don't, they don't do this. Nobody dies. I mean, why do we have to do it? For most of our history, we didn't keep changing the clock every 6 months. So I'm like, why? Why put people through this massive inconvenience? At least people like me. So, I don't win many in life, Tim. And this is one of those where finally, after how many decades I've been bitching and complaining about this, and I get the president behind me. I get both Republicans and Democrats in the House behind me. And now it looks like the Senate's going to shaft me. I can't win, Tim. Final word to you.
And Governor King said it. If you go do the super daylight saving, you go to 1 hour ahead, it's actually 2 hours. Here's the deal. Remember when Nixon did that back in the 70s? Yes. I was in school.
Yes.
And I was at a bus stop in the dark, and I didn't bother it. But here's the deal where you save lives. If you live in Newton, you go to Boston. You're in the sun all the time, come in the morning, come in the night. What it does, it takes the glare away completely. That problem is solved. Then you get 2 hours. It may get dark at summertime, 9:30, and 8:30 the wintertime. There's your glare. That's going to save lives on the highway more than the kids. The kids are okay. I survived it. You survived it. And that's what I think the best thing to do. But I don't know what they're going to do, like you said. But I think that's the best way.
Interesting, Tim. Very interesting. Tim, thank you very much for that call. I got to say, I really thought this topic was a 1 hour topic. I was going to move on. But the audience, the phone lines are lit up like a Christmas tree and making outstanding arguments. I honestly, I never thought discussing time would be fascinating, but look at this audience. I'm riveted. Anastasia in Haverhill. Thanks for holding, Anastasia, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I want to weigh in on the topic of having kids waiting outside.
Yes.
I was a school bus driver for 31 years. Constantly, always, these children, whether you bump it ahead or put the clock back, they are still in the dark. The only time that the little ones are in the light is, I'm nervous, I'm sorry,
there's no reason to be, Anastasia, please, you're among friends. There's no reason for you to be nervous. So basically,
but what I want to say,
it's just for everybody to know. You're saying, look, hour ahead, hour back. The kids go to school so early, or whatever, 7-ish or 7:30, that for the most part, especially in winter, they're in the dark anyway. Correct?
Absolutely. Yep. I'd get to the high school at 7. It was still dark. I'd get to the elementary schools. It doesn't matter. They're still in partial darkness, and it aggravates me that they're not keeping the daylight savings time, all because of the children.
Interesting. Anastasia, can you hang on? I'm up against a break. Okay. Just before I go back to Anastasia in Haverhill, my sister, Jennifer, who also lives in Arizona, not in Scottsdale, where Lori does, but more south in Tucson, she texted me as well. And here is what she had to say, again, off air. Jeff, not changing the time is amazing. Not having to change the clocks twice a year. I love it in Arizona. And then she makes an interesting point. She says, Jeff, when you have young kids especially, it is so difficult to regulate their sleep. Everyone suffers. That's a very good point, Jen. Very good point. Okay, I want to go back to Anastasia in Haverhill. And I thought you made an excellent point, Anastasia, that whether it's an hour ahead or an hour behind, when kids go to school, especially in, the Northeast and in New England, because they tend to start quite early, it really doesn't matter. they're going in the dark. I mean, they're definitely going in the dark. Whether it's, daylight saving time or standard time, it really doesn't matter, especially in the winter. It's dark. You drove a bus. You said, Jeff, trust me, drop them off, 7:30, whatever. At the school, it's dark. Anastasia, here's my question for you, because you're right. Here's my question for you. When I was growing up, and maybe this was a Canadian thing or a Montreal thing or whatever, but we started school at 9. One of the culture shocks many decades ago when I first moved to the United States was how early, whether it's elementary school, middle school, high school, I don't care, but especially elementary, they start at 7:30. Sometimes even, I've heard some places even 7, but definitely 7:30 or 8 o'clock. My Ava, Ashton's in high school, Ava's in middle school. Their bus picks them up like at 7:10? And school either starts at 7:30 or it starts at 8 o'clock. Personally, and they're done by 2. 2:10, 2:15, something like that. Now, when I went to school, it was 9 o'clock, but you're done by 3:30. So now what that did was, because you start the school day much later, we were much better rested. We had more time to sleep. We got a good 8.5, many of us 9 hours when we were younger. You still have time to do activities. It's only 3:30. If you want to do extracurricular, play sports, whatever, stay afterwards to play on the chess team or do homework or whatever. Or you can go home and still, if you want to play outside or, in other words, or do your homework, whatever. But to me, 9 to 3:30 seemed much more reasonable and easier than this get them in there at 7:30, 8 o'clock as early as possible. And so my question to you, if we want to have kids, have more sunshine, have them go to school where there's more light and less dark, less cold, especially in the wintertime, why are we so committed to having school begin so early? Why not move the, school, the beginning of school, say to 9 o'clock, like I had it? Okay, they have to get out of school later, but I mean, is it going to kill you? 2:15 or 3 or 3:30? I know it's not going to bother me. So I would rather my kids start school at 9 and leave at 3:30 than have them start at 7:30 or 8 and then have them out, leave by 2 or 2:15. Anastasia, I'm just curious. What do you think about that?
That's how I was in school. We went late and we got out at 3:30. The kids on my bus in the morning, they're comatose. They just slept. They were so drained. The schools really should start later. And that's all there is to that. And I agree with what you said, everything you said. It's like, do it. You'll find that the children are more, up on their game as far as their studies and stuff. I think it has a lot to do with the teachers. They don't want to stay that late, even though it's an hour later. It benefits the kids if school starts later. I know it did for me when I was growing up.
I agree. How old are you, Anastasia, if you don't mind me asking?
65.
Yeah, just a little bit older than me. I'm 56, but yeah, same, close, same time, same, almost same, 9 years difference. But no, I agree. Look, I started school at 9. I was fresh, really fresh, wide awake, really good night's sleep. And, I never felt when I got out at 3:30, I'm missing out on life. No, I played basketball after school. I wasn't very good, but I played, soccer. I played sports and still got home in time for dinner. Still had time to even do homework. So, if you want to do extracurricular activities, you still have time. I don't know if parents want to pick them up earlier. I mean, I don't know if there's something to that. Or you're saying the teachers, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But, and it's always earlier. Like, they're talking now, like, have them start at 6:45 in the morning. I'm like, well, why don't you just have them start at 5? I mean, have them start at 5 and have them back home by 10 or 10:30. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. So I'm with you all the way, Anastasia. Anastasia, thank you very much for that call. And don't be a stranger. Call again. Joe in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Joe, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Joe.
Pleasure to have me on. I appreciate it. So for me, it's very simple. I can understand both sides of the argument. So for me, it's like, okay, so why don't we just change it a half hour and call it a day?
Split the baby, as they say.
The baby, yeah. I mean, everyone's arguing, and I think a half hour is not really a big deal. And then we never have to change again. Because like you, Jeff, I get extremely irritated when we're changing clocks. I'm an early riser. I love the sun in the morning. Then in the spring, we change the times, and all of a sudden I'm going to work in the dark again, And in the spring, I don't really care to have sunlight at 7 p.m. 6 is good enough. Like, we're already gaining in the spring at nighttime. And all of a sudden, we're jumping and gaining an extra hour that I don't think we need. Who's outdoors in March, in April? No one late at night. So that's just my viewpoint. I think the argument doesn't need to be, people don't need to argue about it. I think let's just change it a half hour and stop changing the clocks, because the changing of the clocks twice a year, I agree with you, it affects everybody. And I think we just need to either pick one or just, as you just said, split the baby. It's that simple.
Joe, love it. Thank you for that call, Joe. 617-266-6868. Really, for me, it's just don't change the clock. I mean, I can go standard. I could go, daylight is what's on offer now. Permanent daylight saving time, so I'll go with that. I can do half an hour. I can split it. No, to me, it's don't change the clock. Because, on so many levels, because I do get up very early I get up in the middle of the night. And so, an hour here, an hour there, yeah, it throws me off. I mean, I already function on very little sleep. So to me, that extra hour, it may not be much to some people, but I'm telling you, to me, it's a real hassle. It's a real inconvenience, and I don't know if it's just a sign of middle age where, you get grumpier as you get older. I don't know, because I have to say, when I was younger, it didn't bother me as much. But I began to notice, like, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'm like, this is annoying. Like, this is a pain in the you-know-where, I got better things to do. And, and again, it's just that, my body clock is thrown off. And I do have to say this, this 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 40, 60 is the new 50. No. I remember when I turned 40, 40 is 40, 50 is 50, now I'm 56. Soon, a couple years, if God gives me those years, I'll be 60. 60 is 60. I don't care what anybody says. You just don't recover as fast. You just don't. I was thinking of like when I was in my 20s, I go, man, I could do all-nighters. Whether I'm studying for university, college exams or whatever, work on a paper, and I wouldn't sleep all night. No problem. Go to school, go to class, come back, and then you sleep for like 14 hours straight. No problem. Now I'm, it's not, I'm not taking Metamucil, what I'm saying? I stay regular, but now, it's, an hour here, an hour there, and it just, I'm like, I don't feel as well. It just throws me off. 617-266-60. And by the way, I can't sleep as much as I used to. In the past, whatever, if I slept 8 hours, I felt good. I felt refreshed. Now, if I sleep 8 hours, I feel like I slept too much. You know that kind of icky feeling? I don't know, like you've slept like just too much? And you sort of feel like, ugh. You know, like, what did I do? I spent all day in bed. And I'm like, I only slept 8 hours. So that's another thing. I'm starting to realize my body needs less sleep as I get older. So, again, so when they start playing with that clock, it's like you're messing with my life. Mark in Rhode Island. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. I was just one point. You said always follow the money. And the movie people come up with all their new shows in the fall, like when the clocks turn back every year. So you're spending more time at home watching television.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. So you think that plays a role in it then, right?
They're powerful.
Interesting.
The Hollywood lobbyist thing, they come out with all their new shows right when the clocks turn back.
Mark, where do you stand on this issue? That's an excellent point, by the way. Where do you stand on this issue?
Keep it all one thing all the time. We don't need to change.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I mean, I've been waiting for this for, 56 years. If Trump could give me this, I would be so grateful. But Mark, I think you're right. I think there are a lot of Hollywood interests involved, economic interests involved. There's just so, and it's the ferocity of the resistance. That's the part that I find, well, okay, all right, sure, we can agree to disagree, obviously. But they're like, no, we're going to sink this. You got to see them. We're going to blow this bill up. We're going to sink this. And I'm like, okay, so we have the same time all year. I'm like, you're acting like it's the end of, the sky is going to fall. And really, after a while, Mark, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but can't we pass anything? And the reason why I'm just mentioning this is, look, how many bills is there bipartisan support? Real bipartisan support, like this bill, the Sunshine Protection Act. There were over 100 Democrats voted for it. Almost every Republican, 20 minus 22. But, the overwhelming majority of Republicans voted for it, and a majority of Democrats voted for it. When does that ever happen? And no, we can't pass that one? And the moment Trump came out on Truth Social and said, it's been a mission of mine for 10 years. I think it'd be so much better for the country on so many levels. And he's telling Republicans, quote, take the win, unquote. And I said, no. The moment he said he wants it, the moment he said he supports it, I go, you watch. The rhinos and some of the Democrats in the Senate are going to sink it. And right on cue, Mark. Tom Cotton, the Republican, he's a neocon. He came out, can't have it. Then you have other Democrats. No, we can't do it. They just can't do it. And I'm like, we just can't pass anything. Really. Mom and apple pie day. We love mom and we love apple pie. Can we just, can we just pass a bill saying let's have mom and apple pie day? Can we just do that? No, it won't pass. It's like we can't pass anything. Mark, thank you very much for that call. Sarah in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Sarah, and welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Jackson. Thank you for taking the call.
My pleasure, Sarah.
Thank you. Lori actually beat me to the punch on one thing. The correct medical term, she's right, is seasonal affective disorder, and it's so cool that the acronym is SAD. What are the odds? But we'll let that go, as you say. And the most important thing that I think about the time change is that it's associated with a higher risk of heart attacks. And that alone, I think, should be a factor that should make it not be happening.
Sarah, I don't doubt you. I'm sure your information is accurate. But for a peasant like me, could you explain this? So how would a time change, hour ahead in the spring, hour back in the fall, how does this lead to more heart attacks? Is it what? It throws their body off? And if it throws their body off, it affects the rhythm of their heart? Is that what happens?
I used to know it more proficiently. I wasn't expecting to be on the air talking about this, but I believe, if I remember correctly, it had something to do with throwing off the biorhythms. And it's within the first 24 or 48 hours, you're at the highest risk, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow. I mean, I feel it, that it throws off the biorhythms. That I feel. But I didn't know to the extent that it could get you a heart attack. Wow. Sarah, do you think this is going to pass?
Well, if Trump lets them know that he's not for it, it might have a chance.
That's what he should do. Don't you pass it. I'll veto it. I'll curse you to the end of my days. It's unbelievable. It's 100-0. We've never seen legislation pass this quick. Sarah, thank you very, very much for that call. Holly on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Holly, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How's it going?
Very good. How are you, Holly?
Not too bad. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I'm all in favor for setting the clocks forward and leaving them there permanently.
Okay, why?
Because I just think it puts people in a better mood. I think people are happier. I think you'll have less depression. I think people will be healthier. They'll want to get outside more, even in the cold weather. I think the dark is definitely detrimental to our children and our health.
Holly, why do you think there is still so much resistance to this? Is it just because people are used to changing the clock twice a year and they don't want that routine disrupted? You know, we've been living with it now for, 45 years. And so, the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. People are just used to it and they like their routine and, they don't want people disrupting their routine. You think that's fundamentally what's driving this?
I think that's exactly what it is. I think people are afraid of change. I think some people will welcome change, but I think that they're afraid of what it might become, what it might bring. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it would be positive for everybody.
I'm with you, Holly. I'm with you. Not 100, but 1,000%. Holly, thank you so much for that call. Okay, my sister just texted me. This is a stunner. I had no idea. So I'm getting educated, today on the job education. So according to my sister, she says, no, Jeff, it actually does. It's called disrupted circadian rhythms. Okay, I don't know what that means, but listen to this. 10 to 24% spike in heart attacks. Wow. On the Monday and Tuesday, immediately following the time change. 10 to 24% spike in heart attacks. On the Monday and Tuesday, immediately following the time change. I did not know it was that bad. In fact, I didn't know there was a spike in heart attacks at all. Never mind this much. To me, on this grounds alone, let's just keep it one time. Just on this alone, we should keep the clock. That could be me. You know what I mean? In a couple of years, knock on wood. I don't want to curse myself, but, in a couple of years, suddenly, they change the clock. I'm complaining. I'm aggravated. I'm annoyed. And then, I'm trying to get ready to do the show. And I'm like, I'm like, just pressure in my chest. What's going on? And of course, Mike is celebrating. Mike gets the news and he's like, you're kidding. Yeah? Really? Yeah? Yeah. My prayers have been answered. But anyway, let that go. No, on that grounds alone, I would change it and have it, permanent. I don't care, standard or daylight, but just have a permanent time and we stick to it. Charles, and I'm kidding about Mike. Charles in Peabody. Thanks for holding, Charles, and welcome. Oh, do we hear him okay? Mike, if you can, get off of it, but if you're on the road, just stick to it. So go ahead, my friend. In fact, Charles, hang on. We're going to come back to you because we got to go to a hard break, but I promise I'm going to take your call. All right. Let me ask you. Let's broaden this out a little bit. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Charles in Peabody. Charles, thanks for holding and welcome.
Well, I'm in Salem now.
You're in Salem now. Okay.
Well, I'm okay. All right, so anyway, I'm just going to make, Jeff, 4 quick points.
Yes,
Maybe
go ahead,
5.
Charles.
All right, so me and you were the same age. I'm just a couple months older. When you were going to school in Canada, 9 o'clock?
Yes.
I went to school in Lynn from, elementary school up to high school, 8:15 to 2:15. And I never had a problem. As a kid, I don't know, you probably too. I never thought about it. You know, all right, you set the clocks, whatever. It never bothered me. But now that I'm older, I agree it should be one time all year. But that time should be standard. I'm with Johnny that called earlier today. And one reason why is it seems like every time the clock changes for the spring, it's like, oh, geez, I got to get up already. Before, it seemed like I had another hour. You know what I mean? So, and then daylight savings, I think, and I heard Dr. Savage say this one time. He thought it shouldn't be daylight savings. It should stay standard because I'm with him. You know, he's kind of moody. I'm like that. It's like too much sun. Has the sun gone down yet? You know, it's like sunny all day long. You know, it's like it seems like it lasts forever. I'm with him. He thinks that normal for the flowers, for the birds, etc. It should be standard. It's better. Now, if I were to pick a happy medium and say, okay, the clocks are still going to change, what can I do? I would switch it, and I would have it get dark earlier in the summer. Forget the happy and going to the park and, oh, boy, yeah, let's all go out and spend 50 hours outside. I think if they're not going to change it, first of all, if they change it, it should be standard for the whole year. To me, that's normal. To Dr. Savage, that's normal. But if they're going to change it, if they're going to keep it, it should be darker earlier in the summer, and then you want to save your heart and all that happy stuff. Let's have the daylight savings in the winter. That would be my happy medium.
That's interesting. Charles, that's very, very interesting. Charles, let me ask you this. Overall, if you're going to have sunshine, do you want it in the morning or do you want it in the evening? Because that's the real divide among a lot of people.
I think it's normal. The birds, the flowers, they get the sun right away. And then at night, all right, you go home. You know, like the other guy said, the TV, they got, you know, it helps them, right? And I don't care about that, but I'm just saying, to me, that's normal. Standard time. Not this, now all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock already. I got to get up, you know, and the sun is out. You know, it's like you do everything you got to do on the weekend, this and that, and you do this, you do that, you go outside, and it's still sun, and it's like, has the day ended yet?
Interesting. Charles, thank you very, very much for that call. I really appreciate it. You know, look, it's weather. Everybody has different opinions on weather. You know, some people like it sunnier in the morning. Others like it sunnier in the evening. You know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Everybody is different. No, what I just find incredible is just how I look at Congress and I'm like, this is such a dysfunctional body that you guys can't even get it. Such a basic piece of legislation passed. If you can't pass this, what the hell can you pass? You know, it's just, that's what's depressing to me. You know, besides where you stand on this issue, it's just, you know, and I'm telling you, unless something dramatic happens in Trump's speech tonight, or he really makes a powerful announcement with new powerful evidence, I hate to say it, I don't think they're going to pass the SAVE Act because they can't seem to pass anything. Mike in Beverly, thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning. First of all, I agree with you and the president. I want daylight savings time to stay permanent, and I like it. I would like to see it be 5:45 when the seasons change and the days at its shortest point. I'd like to see it be 5:45 instead of 4:45 and be pitch black outside. And on the other side of that, it'll get daylight later. So on a day off, I'm a sunrise enthusiast. So then I could still sleep in and still get to go see the sunrise. So that would be a win-win for me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I didn't even think of that, but it's true. You know, I on the weekends is when I sleep in a little bit. And it's nice that I could get up a little, you know, I sleep in and so whatever, 8 o'clock, whatever it is I get up at, 7:30, 8 o'clock. But it's nice that I get up on a weekend and the sun is, rising as I get up. In other words, for once in my life, just once, could somebody, help me and comfort me and make it convenient for me instead of constantly making it inconvenient? Okay, this is another very important story because tomorrow is going to be Trump's speech. He's going to address the nation tonight. We're going to talk Iran and probably election integrity and foreign election interference because Trump is going to reveal some big news. And obviously the Save America Act. So we're going to have a loaded show for you today. But I wanted to talk about a couple of issues that I know are very dear to the president. One is the Sunshine Protection Act. And good luck. I hope he gets it passed because, as he tells Republicans, what's the point of having a majority if we can't do anything with it? Now, another cause that is very dear to the president's heart is transparency in government. And in particular, and this has actually gotten some media attention, President Trump, and I don't know why, but against fierce resistance within the deep state. Why they would be opposed to this, I don't know, but many in the deep state fought him tooth and nail and they eventually lost. President Trump ordered the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, to release classified UFO files. And in particular, just recently, they released the 4th batch, and this is considered the most sensitive, the most classified of all the batches that have been released. And so this 4th tranche of UFO files have now been declassified, again, at the direction of the president and the Department of War, and you can now access it. And it's a ton of files and videos that were collected by the U.S. military going all the way back to the 1940s. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you ever saw the TV series The X-Files. It was huge in the 1990s. I used to watch it, loved it. It was one of my favorite, in fact, my favorite TV series in that time. Loved it. It's The X-Files. It really is. Now, there was a movie that just came out. It could be, I think, maybe Steven Spielberg's last big project. We shall see. But it was directed by Steven Spielberg. It's called Disclosure Day. And in a nutshell, I thought the movie was too long. I thought there were some very good scenes, and I liked the premise, but I thought it was an hour too long. But let that go. You heard it was trash? It wasn't that bad, Mike. I took Ashton Ava. They liked it, but they thought it went on too long. Anyway, it just needed a good editor. But anyway, the point of the movie is that the government is trying to cover up that there are UFOs and that there are space aliens, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them. There is life out there that is not human and that they're here on Earth and that they've been among us and that our government has been trying to keep it a big secret. Well, you look at these UFO files. Let me just give you an example. One of the batch of the files it details these very bizarre sightings. Again, these now declassified reports whereby a U.S. military aviator, someone who served 28 years in the Air Force and the Navy, said that one time he saw an object, this was in the eastern United States, quote, unlike anything I had seen in his nearly 30 years of flying. And what he described is an object, I'm just quoting now straight from the file, an object with flight characteristics unlike anything I had seen in my 28 years of performing for the United States Air Force and Navy. A small object was below us and appeared to be traveling in a straight line opposite our direction at high speed. Now, I'm not going to read to you. It goes on and on. But he said they tried to track it, and what they found incredible was that, it moved it defied the laws of gravity the way it moved. It just would go up horizontally. Like it would just do things that no other spacecraft can, theoretically that we know of can do. And he said the other thing was, it was the incredible speed. And it looked like it's just a ball of light. And he said the thing that shocked us above all was that it was an object that appeared to be a rectangular, like a rectangle, like a rectangular shape. And flying at abnormal speeds in a way that they said just was not scientifically possible. Now, there's more. There's another incident documented by another senior military person, again, long experience, at a plant in Texas, a military plant, in which what they saw was an object that had, quote, a diamond shape, but it was more round at the top. So again, an object that they've never seen before. And they said, again, they tried to follow it. They tried to take pictures of it, but that it moved in a way that they said just, again, defied the laws of gravity, everything that we know scientifically, and that it went at such a high speed that they said it's impossible that this was human. This is not some advanced technology by the Chinese or by us or by the Russians. And then there was another sighting. I'll just name, I could go on, but let me just give you one more, in which there was a UAP, as it's called, that appeared to shapeshift. It's just changing shapes before it began to change directions at speeds that were almost unimaginable. And so, according to them, they tried to track it. They had infrared sensors, and they said, we've never seen anything like it. It was like a shape-shifting object. And then before you know it, it's gone. I mean, it's just gone. It's that fast. And so what they concluded, these were all these military people, which they've kept classified, is that they said there's no way this was human. There's no way this was some kind of advanced fighter craft or military technology. They said it leads to only one possible conclusion, that these were, unmanned aerial, projectiles, that they believe they were, you want to call them UFOs, whatever, and that this was extraterrestrial life. This was clearly technology and life that was not human and that is not of this earth. Now, one of the things the movie Disclosure Day tries to hammer again and again is that if you believe there is life out there, there's, extraterrestrial life, space, aliens, whatever, that will destroy religion. Christianity in particular. Steven Spielberg is really trying to go after Christians and Christianity in his movie. And I'm watching this and I'm like, this makes no sense whatsoever. Yes, Christians believe that, God loves us and that we're created in the image and likeness of God, obviously. But, to me, there clearly could be other life forms that maybe live in a different planet or a different dimension or a different galaxy or whatever. They may be much more intelligent or advanced than we are, or just fundamentally completely different in every single way, shape, or form. What does this have to do? God can create different species. God can create different dimensions, different galaxies, different life forms. So why would this be such a threat to Christianity? Why would this be such a threat to religion, as Spielberg and many liberals are trying to claim? In fact, I'm looking at this and I'm like, no, God created everything. And is it beyond the realm of belief that maybe there are UFOs? There is extraterrestrial life out there? No. In fact, to be honest, after this release of these files, I'm leaning very much that I believe there is life out there.
There is another one that looks like a formation front of multiple objects moving together through the clouds, and we can't really tell what these objects are. There are a number of those that look like real objects, but there is not enough information. And of course, one objective of the council that I'm leading, that serves as an advisory council to the U.S. government, is to suggest new instruments, new sensors that would allow us to collect new data in the future that will get to the bottom of it, figure out what the nature of these objects is. Because, if these are technological objects, there are two possibilities. Either they were sent by adversarial nations, in which case they are a matter of national security, or this is the biggest discovery ever made in science. We see technological artifacts that are of non-human origin. So in both cases, we have to figure it out.
9:51 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. That is Ivy League scientist. He's well known. Abbey Loeb. He's part of the council looking into whether there's extraterrestrial life out there, advising the President Trump. And I think he hit the nail on the head. You look at these objects now that are in these declassified UFO files, as they're called, and either they're from, China, Russia, take your pick, adversarial nations. So do they have that kind of a technological edge over us? We should find out ASAP. It's a matter of national security. Or they're as he put it, non-human origins, which would be the greatest discovery in the history of science. I mean, either way, this is a massive story. And, personally, I used to be a skeptic. I didn't think there were UFOs, be brutally honest with you, or extraterrestrial life out there. Now I'm looking at this and I don't see any other plausible explanation. When you start talking about, objects that fly at speeds unheard of, and the object is shape-shifting, that could be a UFO, and then people say, well, Jeff, a la the movie Disclosure Day, are space aliens, have they arrived? Are they among us? Or are they here watching us or observing us? To me, anything is possible. And I look at many moonbats, and I look at many so-called liberals. Look at Bernie Sanders. Look at Mamdani. Look at Elizabeth Warren. Look at AOC. I could go down the list. Look at Joe Biden. Look at Kamala. Maxine Waters. I could go on and on. Ed Markey, Ice Cream Ed. I think they're among us. Bill in Sudbury. It's like, Oh, they look like us. They've taken our form. But they're space aliens. Oh, it all makes sense. Chuck in Dorchester. Thanks for holding, Chuck, and welcome.
Hey, I want to set the record straight here. And this goes back to Genesis 6 with the fallen angels.
Yes.
They are demonic entities. And a lot of, like Father Rippinger, he's a exorcist. He believes so. And if you remember Crowley there, the guy that summoned the demon was a gray. He even made pictures of him. And this goes deep, but
so Chuck,
really,
you think these could actually be demons or some kind of possessed spirits, correct?
Absolutely, they can manipulate and manifest as UFOs. Plus, they do have physical craft. But when they defy physics doing 90-degree turns at thousands of miles an hour, anyhow, if you look into that, there's all sorts of information. A lot of even Vance believes they're demonic.
That's interesting. I didn't even look at it that way. I can just say this, Chuck, and thank you for that call. When I saw Disclosure Day, again, just I'll sum it up very quickly. The premise of the movie is that all these space aliens are good. That they're noble, they're virtuous, they're good, their intentions are, harmless and peaceful. And of course, we humans are bad. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, why?